Welcome to the Statline podcast. It's the 8th week of the podcast, Atlas. I can't believe we made it this far.
Man, it's crazy. We're on week 8, and this week we have something special. We got the NBA starting back. Yeah, man, I am so excited. Safal, what do you think about this NBA season?
Man, I love hoops and I love talking hoops. You know that. We got some banger games to start with today. The NBA is back on NBC. It's Rockets Thunder. I cannot wait for that game. I am so excited to see Kevin Durant on that in a Rockets jersey, surrounded by those studs down in Houston. I can't wait.
Dude, I'm so excited. I wish we could see a fully healthy Rockets team. They're first game into the KD era, and they're already banged up. Fred VanVleet, as we know, tore his ACL in the offseason and will be shelved for the full season. But yeah, no, we are so excited to watch Kevin Durant play in Houston. Is this going to be his last stop in the NBA? I don't know, but hopefully he can get it done, win a championship potentially. But then on the other side with the Lakers game as well, we won't be able to see the King, LeBron James, playing as he'll be out for the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season. And so it'll be the soft launch of the new Luka era going into the future for the Lakers.
Yeah. I mean that we should talk about that a little bit because the NBA is kind of in a weird state right now where the three biggest superstars that bring in eyeballs are three guys that are really old, that are in their last phase of their careers, right? I mean, look at it. On opening night, they have the team with LeBron James, the team with Steph Curry, and the team with Kevin Durant all playing as a way to kick off the NBA season. And I don't know, man. I think the NBA's got to figure it out. How do they market guys like Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic, like you mentioned, Wemby? Let's not forget about Zion, SGA, Jokic, Giannis, all these guys. How do they make sure that that's the people we're talking about rather than KD and Harden and Kawhi and LeBron and Curry and those guys?
I mean, I think it all starts with the new broadcast. We got the NBA on NBC is back. NBA on Prime is new for this season. We're all gonna miss the NBA on TNT guys, Shaq
I mean,
and
they're supposed to be on ESPN.
yeah, they're supposed to be there, but is it gonna be the same as the TNT vibes as years prior? I'm not sure, but I think it all starts with the broadcasting. I think getting guys like MJ, John Wall, all sorts of new people into the booth is going to help with viewership and ratings. The only thing I am a little bit annoyed about is that there's so many different streaming services this year. We got to grow the game, of course, but how's that going to look in the future? But as you mentioned, you got three of the top three guys in the league, at least from a name perspective and what they've accomplished, are going to be out there for night one, and we'll see what happens with the future of the NBA. But it's in good hands with Anthony Edwards, Wemby, Zion, as you mentioned. There's a lot of talent, and you
For
got to
sure.
watch out for Cade Cunningham and the boys in Detroit for sure.
No, but the thing that I'm really scared about the NBA is what happens when these three guys leave, right? When KD leaves, Steph, I mean, LeBron's probably on his way out, probably this year, if not next year, right? And then after that, soon enough, it'll be time for Steph and KD to leave. This is kind of like the last time the NBA is going to have the leverage when it comes to a media deal, right? Now they got the contract with NBC, Prime, and ESPN combined, and they paid a hefty amount, $76 billion with a B over 13 years for the deal that just got signed. In 13 years, I don't know, man. I don't know if the NBA will have the leverage in that media deal. What do you think? Do you think it's a real problem?
Dude, speaking of like pricing, man, it is insane seeing like this current market of the NBA. You got Keegan Murray making Justin Jefferson money. Like, what are we even doing right now? Like, so in 13 years when this deal is up, who's to say what the world is even gonna look like? Is it gonna be some AI players out there? Is it gonna be
AI
AI coaching that makes better decisions than half of the league?
AI coaching is interesting for sure. Yeah,
I mean, there's some dumb decision making later on. If you could leverage, like, okay, let's ask AI, what should I do in this situation, then implement that right away. Like, then you'd have, you wouldn't have that J.R. Smith situation at the end of the
for
the
sure.
Cavs game.
I mean, I think that's a great point because AI can definitely be used in clock management situations. I think that I honestly that's such a great point, Atlas. I think every NFL team, MLB team, NBA team, any team, well, I guess in the MLB there isn't much clock management situation, but still like end of inning situation, end of game, in kind of the later innings, right? But
Well, they're
especially in
already kind
basketball.
of teasing the automated umpire in the MLB. So I can see them using AI for sure and a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, same with the NFL, right? The spot check now, the like yard to gain now is automated. The ref no longer makes the decision on whether if the ball made it reach the first down line. They have chips now on the ball to determine whether it reached the first down marker or not. But even more so, like forget about the officiating side. I think on the coaching side, the NFL is a perfect example of when to use AI in clock management situations. Way too many coaches just don't know what to do in end of game situations. We saw it yesterday in the Seattle versus Houston game. At the end of the game, there's the Houston's down 8. You kick that ball out of bounds. They have 2 minutes and 4 seconds left in the fourth quarter. The whole point that game hinges on whether Seattle snaps the ball on this side of the 2 minute warning or the other side of the 2 minute warning, and Houston just completely botches that and loses the game.
It's the exact same thing that happened week 1 with Chicago, Minnesota. It could have been avoided.
Use these AI tools we have, hire some clock management coordinator that makes the decisions on when timeouts get used, how to manage the clock. Because I cannot believe these are multi-billion dollar organizations that pour everything into winning football games, winning basketball games, winning baseball games, and I just hate those silly clock management mistakes, man. And that's a great point on the AI. Let's get back onto the NBA topic though. Who do you have winning the title this year? What's your finals prediction?
Man, I'm gonna do a dark horse team. A lot of people aren't really thinking about too much out east. I got as I mentioned, Cade Cunningham. I think Detroit, is gonna make a huge.
No,
Yeah, I think
you
Detroit's
are
gonna.
not picking Detroit to win the
No,
title.
no, no. I'm picking them to make it out of the East. I got the
Okay.
Timberwolves. I got the Timberwolves out west defeating them. I think Anthony Edwards' experience in those big moments would help him out a lot with that Detroit game. But last time we had talked a little bit about or in the clip we talked a little bit about the Thompson brothers. One in Houston, one in Detroit, and I think Asar Thompson is really the key to them winning a championship in Detroit. The defensive skills that he has, like so young, and then Cade Cunningham, of course, like gonna lead the charge up there. I know it's a very wild take, but when you think about the East, man, you got Celtics who just lost Porzingis, you got Jason Tatum out for the year, you got the Bucks who lost Lillard, just got Miles Turner. I could see them making some noise, but with Doc Rivers up there, I don't really see them. Then you got the Knicks, who just got a new coach in Mike Brown, and what's going to happen with them. I think that they have a good shot at making the finals, but obviously with my pick, I'm going to choose the Detroit again. And then obviously Philly's got the issues with Paul George and these contracts. Is Embiid going to be able to play like more than 40 games? And then so I think the East is wide open. That's why I'm choosing the Detroit Pistons. And then out west, I'm picking the Timberwolves just because I think Anthony Edwards is going to be that next star of the league that will be taking over for LeBron and Curry and those guys. So those are my picks for the finals.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Eastern Conference is as wide open as it has been, since the pre-LeBron years, in fact. I know the East has been pretty wide open for the past however many years, right? I mean, we saw Miami Heat make it to the NBA Finals as an 8th seed. Last year, we saw the Indiana Pacers upset both the Celtics and the Knicks on their way to the NBA Finals. The East historically, for in at least in recent history, has been a wide open conference. I think it's even more open this year. Like you mentioned, we got the Knicks, we got the Cavs. I mean, depending on when Jason Tatum comes back, we got the Celtics. We have the Philly with Joel Embiid. You can't count him out when you have an MVP type of player. I know Joel Embiid hasn't done jack shit in the playoffs in his career, but still,
Bankero and Orlando, we didn't even talk about
for sure, Orlando. I mean, Trey Young on the Hawks.
with
I
Porzingis.
don't really know, but obviously Giannis in Milwaukee. I don't know if they're gonna do anything without Dame, but still, these are all teams that we got to keep in mind in the Eastern Conference. I like the Knicks personally. I think the New York Knicks are the only team. I mean, maybe the Cavs even, but the only team here, in the Eastern Conference that hasn't had a major roster shakeup is the New York Knicks. Right? They added Malcolm Brogdon this
You
offseason. He
say
retired.
roster shakeup, but their coach is gone, so their whole scheme is going to be completely different. So, in
For
my
sure, but
opinion, that's bigger than like multiple players shifting.
I think in basketball, roster is much more important than coaching is. In football, it's the other way around, right? Coaching is is probably the most important thing for an organization. I don't think so in basketball. I think in basketball, Steve Kerr can, miss 18 games. Mike Brown can come in and go 18 and 0 in those games. We saw that happening, right? We've seen Tyronn Lue, an interim coach, win the title in his very first year. He took over David Blatt in January of 2016. By June 2016, he was an NBA champion. In the NBA, the player talent matters way more than the coaching talent, which is obviously different from the National Football League. But I just think the New York Knicks have been the most stable organization. I mean, obviously, firing a coach is not a stable thing, but I think in terms of the roster, you could make an argument between Cleveland and New York in terms of the great teams from last year in the Eastern Conference on who has the most stable roster, and I think it's New York. That's going to get it done this year. I still don't know if I can trust Cleveland in the big games. They haven't shown anything. They lost to the Knicks 2 years ago. Last year, they lost to obviously the Indiana Pacers in the first round, and Cleveland just needs to prove it in games that matter. They haven't done that yet, and we'll see if they can do it. I like the Knicks from the East. Now in the Western Conference, look, as much as I like the Thunder, I think Houston's going to beat them. I think Denver even might beat them. Denver almost beat them last year, right? They took them to 7. Now that game 7 was kind of a blowout, but if you remember, Atlas, in game 4, that was a very close game. Why, like, back and forth game that Oklahoma
Denver
just
had him on the
eked out.
ropes. Denver had him on the
Yeah.
ropes, and even Jalen Williams said like that was the team that like they thought they were gonna lose to of any of the teams that they faced.
For sure, yeah. So I mean, I think in the Western Conference is a three team race between the OKC Thunder, the Denver Nuggets, and the Houston Rockets. But I like Houston in this. I mean, if Fred VanVleet was healthy, I would have much more conviction in my pick with Houston. But I still think Kevin Durant, with the defensive guys he has now, I mean, Kevin Durant no longer has to guard the other team's best player like he did in Phoenix, right? They got Osar Thompson to do that work now.
I'm in.
So, or say that again.
I'm in Thompson.
Or Amen Thompson. One of the Thompson twins is in Houston. I mean, they got Sengun. They have a good team in Houston. I mean, Jabari Smith, number 3 overall pick out of Auburn for a couple years ago. And I mean, Steven Adams, they have some depth
Tari
pieces. Dorian
Eason.
Finney-Smith, Terry Eason, right? Josh Okogie from Phoenix, coming along with Kevin Durant, I guess. Yeah, let's see what happens, but I like Houston. I like New York in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I like your picks, but it'll be interesting to see, the young guns out there in Houston outside of KD, see how they gel together with KD. I think Udoka will get the team playing right. So I like those picks. And on your east side, I think that Mike Brown could end up actually helping the New York Knicks because he'll be able to actually give people a rest, unlike old head
Man,
men like
playing 46 minutes a game in middle of January against Utah. All respect to Tibbs though. As a Knicks fan, Tibbs turned the entire franchise around. The New York Knicks were the bottom ground of the NBA, right? They were in a hellhole in the NBA since the peak of Carmelo Anthony. Even when Melo was here, they still went like 15 and 62 one of the seasons or something like that. Credit to Tibbs. He turned the entire culture around. He turned the vibes around the Knicks around. He, gave New Yorkers something to root for. I love Tibbs, but maybe a change was necessary. Let's see if Mike Brown is the right guy, and let's see if he can get it done. Now, let's move over to the NFL, Alice. Well, what'd you think about this week's games, man? I know on the podcast I've been saying Baker Mayfield MVP, but he didn't have that great of a game yesterday.
No, he didn't. But we've given him a lot of grace for not having adequate receivers these past couple games with all these injuries. And I think we need to give him a little bit more grace. He's facing the Detroit Lions defense has a great front seven. I know that they were pretty banged up in their secondary, but Buka and Mike Evans really should not have played that game, and it kind of resulted in Mike Evans, ended up missing most of the season after last game, and we're gonna have to rely on Chris Godwin and a little bit banged up Buka to carry them to a
Tez Johnson.
Teddy Johnson, and then you got teams like the Panthers and the Falcons who are almost knocking on their door in the NFC South. Both at positive win percentage. Actually, the Atlanta just lost, so they're at 3-3, I believe, after the bye. But the Panthers without Bryce Young, are they gonna be able to keep winning? But yeah, MVP predictions. I think Mahomes is
He's
still
firmly he's
he's
firmly at the top right now.
he's firmly at the top, but then there's a guy in New England, Drake May,
I
just got
like what you're thinking. I like what you're thinking.
he's getting all of his receivers involved, and like it's a pleasure to
Drake
watch
May's
him
him.
play. Drake May is an amazing football player, and in year two, right? Year two, he
Year
drafted
three.
year three. Wait,
Oh
he
no,
was
no, no, year two, year two. He
year
was
two.
drafted Caleb's year. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's crazy to think about because he is so good at this age. And I was pretty high on him coming out of the draft, but some of the UNC games made you think a little bit otherwise. But that was mostly on Mac Brown, and now it's clear to say that Drake
I mean,
May.
UNC, dude, they had Omarion Hampton and Drake May in the same team. That's crazy.
I
These
think
guys are
Josh Downs
dominating
was on
NFL
that team
Sundays.
too.
Say that again?
Josh Downs as well, I think,
Yeah,
right?
Josh Downs was on that team too. Yeah. They couldn't get much done though at UNC, but you talk about the Patriots, their schedule is so soft.
Hmm.
They have the Browns, Falcons, Bucks. I guess Bucks are somewhat questionable. They got the Jets, Bengals, Giants. Those are all three games that they should easily win. But then they got a game
I
against
don't
the
know,
Bills.
man. Joe Flacco Bengals, they're not such
Come
an
on, let's
easy
be
beat
real
right now.
here. That is the one Joe Flacco game you get a year, right? Like Joe Flacco pops off for one game a year and then falls back to Joe Fluco. I think that was the Joe Fluco game rather than the Joe Flacco game that we saw on Thursday. I mean, you saw those dimes? Those are dimes, man. Like I know Jamar Chase got a lot of like, oh my God, Jamar Chase after the Thursday game, but that was Joe Flacco was cooking. He was dealing on Thursday.
Yeah, no, he was. But if you look back at the Packers game, right after he got signed, like in the end of the game, he was throwing some dots at that game as well. So I don't think it's just a fluke. I think he'll have a good season, but I don't think the Bengals will be a team to beat in the
News
AFC
out of
North.
Cincinnati is also that Joe Burrow is going to come back sooner than expected. I mean, maybe it has to do with the fact that Joe Flacco is playing better now. Obviously, I mean, Cincinnati is. I think the Patriots should still be able to get it done. I mean, honestly, looking at the schedule, there's only two games here where you go, oh, I don't know about that. Which is they got the Bills, at home. They already beat the Bills in Buffalo, and they got to go to at Ravens, and play against Lamar. This is December 21st. This is week 15 in the NFL. Maybe the Ravens are out of the playoff contention by then. Maybe they shut down Lamar by then. But the Patriots just have a beautiful schedule. They're 5-2. I mean, they're sitting what second in the AFC right now. They're looking pretty.
Yeah, they're looking nice, and I think if they keep winning like they're supposed to, and like the games kind of suggest, then he will be in the MVP race, later in the season as well.
No, for sure. I mean, even right now, like you mentioned it, I wasn't even thinking about Drake May. Obviously, Drake, like projection wise, I think Drake May will be in the MVP talks later. But even if we're talking right now, having this Patriots team at 5-2, I mean, if you look at what the Patriots did last year, that was an incompetent football team, right? On any given Sunday, you did not know what we're gonna see out of New England. And even before the Gerard Mayo years, even when Bill Belichick was there and they had Bailey Zappi going out on the field and Mac Jones, not the 49er Mac Jones. We're talking about, the Mac Jones that threw a pick six to end the game, I guess. Or I guess it was who was it that threw it? Jacoby Myers threw the pass and then
Yeah, Jacoby Myers.
yeah, Mac Jones got trucked by Chandler Jones.
That was Chandler Jones' last good play in the league.
Yeah, either way, this turnaround from New England is something special to see. Credit to Mike Vrabel, obviously Drake May, he's that dude, UNC legend, now going to be an NFL legend. But the MVP race, I think it's Mahomes to win though. I know, like we love Drake May, but if Mahomes plays the way he's playing, he's going to get that MVP.
But
Don't you think?
you already know the voter bias that they already have for Mahomes, and if he has like the best season, like then it's no question, like he'll 100% for sure win it. I wish my guy JSN or Jonathan Taylor could make some noise for the MVP, but they're only gonna give it to a
It's a
quarterback,
QB award.
and 15 in KC, he'll get it for sure.
I mean, if Saquon didn't win MVP last year, if Christian McCaffrey didn't win it 2 years ago, if J.J. Watt didn't win it in 2014, if Aaron Donald never had an MVP year, it's not like Jonathan Taylor's not winning it this year. JSN is not winning it this year. They're not having. I mean, as great of a season as Jonathan Taylor's having, it's not as good as the one Saquon had last year. And as good of a season as JSN's having right now, it's not as good as the season Cooper Kupp had a few years ago. So those guys are just not winning it. It's a QB award.
Like but yeah, no. So I gotta say, Dak, he's up there for MVP, and I don't think he'll win it, and he'll probably settle down later towards the year. But yeah, I gotta give my props
I
to
mean,
Dak.
Like the way I look at the Dak situation is if Micah Parsons was still on the Cowboys roster, I think Dak could actually win MVP this year. But I just don't think they're going to win enough games for Dak to actually end up being the MVP. That defense is so horrendous. I mean, I know they looked somewhat decent against the Commanders this past week, but the Commanders obviously brought in Marcus Mariota. Jane Daniels got hurt mid-game.
That was a practice squad team. They didn't have any receivers. You had like
Yeah, no
Chris.
receivers either. Terry was out, Debo was out. Jalen Lane was their number one receiver. Hey, shout out Jalen Lane. I started him on fantasy. I got whooped in fantasy this week, but still, I had to start Jalen Lane.
Dude, honestly, when you picked him up, I was like, oh, he knows ball because I was honestly thinking about picking up Lane. I had seen him, on the red zone screen pop through and have a few big plays. And so Jalen Lane out of Virginia Tech, shout out Jackson, but he's a beast, and that was a very risky, but I guess it worked out a little bit even though you
I mean,
lost.
it didn't matter. I was gonna get whooped this week regardless. I was playing against what, like Trey McBride, Bijan
Devonta
Robinson,
Jordan Addison.
Jordan Addison, Ramondre Stevenson. The one time he has a good game, like it was just I was cooked from the beginning, I guess. But either way, the Cowboys defense just not good enough to propel Dak to win an MVP. Now let's move over to obviously the biggest game of the week. Aaron Rodgers, fresh off of his fantastic 4 touchdown Unk Bowl performance, going up against his old team in the Green Bay Packers. I mean, what an honor as an NFL fan to be able to witness this game. Aaron Rodgers is going up against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football. I cannot wait. Oh
Dude,
my God.
I am so excited. And when I looked at the NFL fantasy Mageddon, as they call it, for week 8 and saw that my quarterback, Kyle Murray, mind you, he's garbage. Mind you, he's garbage this year. But when I saw that he was going to be out for week 8 with the bye, I made sure last week to pick up my guy, Perk Rogers. And I ended up starting him in the Unk Bowl. He did me right. And so my plan next week or this weekend is to start Aaron Rodgers against this defense. We'll see. We'll see if it's a bad pick or not. But I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have something for that Packers secondary, and I think that he will be in vintage Aaron Rodgers form. And I think that they could end up beating the Green Bay Packers. Coming off of this loss to the Bengals, they know that they need to stay ahead in the AFC North. I think that this could be a trap game for the Green Bay Packers, and I think that Aaron Rodgers is going to be Aaron Rodgers, and we'll see a vintage moment from him. I'm so excited. Safal, who do you think is going to win this game, and how do you think Aaron Rodgers is going to do?
Oh, I mean, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to pull this one out because the Green Bay Packers, they've been low-key struggling. I know they have the wins piled up, but if you look at the games, right, like outside, if you take that week 1 performance against the Lions, I'm gonna pull it up here. But this past weekend, they almost lost to the Cardinals. Cardinals with a backup quarterback, by the way, not Kyler Murray playing. It was the Cardinals with Jacoby Brissett, and the Packers almost lost. And the
Hey,
week
Jacoby
before,
Brissett might be better than Kyler Murray.
maybe, man, maybe.
There's talks in Arizona for him to get the starting job after the bye, but I don't know what's going to happen. But shout out NC State legend Bam Knight and Jacoby Brissett, but both almost pulling it out against the Packers.
For sure. But my point being, if you look at the past 4 weeks for the Packers, right? They lost to the Browns, they tied against the Cowboys, and then they squeaked by the Bengals, and then they squeaked by Arizona. The Green Bay Packers, in no way, shape, or form, have been dominating the way we expected them to dominate after that performance against Detroit in week 1. Now they have a matchup against their franchise legend and Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers has been slowly cooking this year. I think everyone's noticed Aaron Rodgers after that Thursday night performance in the Unk Bowl, but Aaron Rodgers right now is 4th in the NFL in touchdown passes, and he's played 1 less games than the 3 guys above him. Matthew Stafford's at 17, Dak's at 16, Goff's at 15. All those guys have played 7 games. Aaron Rodgers has played 6 games and has thrown 14 touchdowns. He has a 105 passer rating. He has a command of that Pittsburgh offense, right? Those tight ends are cooking, man. Darnell Washington, Pat Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith, and then he has Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell in the back. He has DK Metcalf out wide. The Steelers need to go get a wide receiver too before the trade deadline, and the Steelers look good, man. And in this
Jacoby
week,
Myers, man. Jacoby Myers
for
right
sure,
there.
if they can get Jacoby Myers, the Steelers might be Super Bowl contenders. I mean, seriously, the way the offense is looking, I did not imagine the Steelers' weak link at this point of the season to be the defense and not the offense. The offense looks fine. The offense actually looks one of the best offenses in football. It is so hard to defend. a guy like Darnell Washington who can catch passes, run routes, and block like an offensive lineman. They have a great offense, and Jordan Love's been somewhat struggling. He makes those wow throws, but he also makes those like head scratchers, like what are you doing, man? Type of throws as well.
Cross your
Aaron
body.
Rodgers does not make those. Aaron Rodgers only gives you the wow throws while limiting the what are you doing, man type of throws. And he's going to be extra motivated to go up against Green Bay. I'm sure he wants that dub. The entire team is going to want that dub. Mike Tomlin will shore up that defense. That's his side of the football. I have no doubt that Mike Tomlin, coming off of a mini bye, I guess, extra time to rest, extra time to prepare against Green Bay. I like Pittsburgh in this game.
I like your call, and this won't be Slay and Ramsey against like these elite receivers like we saw in Cincinnati. We got a rookie Matthew Golden, we got Romeo Dobbs, and then like, what else is left out
Is
there?
Christian Watson playing?
No, no, he's gone. He's out, and then Reed is out. So Tucker Kraft, and then those two guys are going to be your main source of offense for the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, a healthy dose of Josh Jacobs. I got the Steelers. I think we're both on the same page there.
No, for sure. I mean, yeah, no, like it's gonna be a great game. Aaron Rodgers, the fives are going to be immaculate. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth on the call. NBC is going to present the game, and I'm sure they'll have some special videotapes and whatnot to get us hyped up. I mean, we saw Tom Brady against the Patriots. Now we're going to see Aaron Rodgers against the Green Bay Packers. Just an honor being able to watch this game and being able to witness history in front of our eyes this Sunday night.
Dude, I'm so excited. I'm glad they put it on NBC because I think they have the best production, and so Sunday night's only fitting for old man Rodgers.
Now let's move over to Jalen Hurts, who he put on a show on Sunday, man. He put on a show on Sunday against the Vikings, throwing the football to A.J. Brown, throwing the football to Devontae Smith. I mean, I saw the report that Devontae Smith actually called that play on the sideline and said, hey, we have it every time. We got to go to it. And then he delivered with a 79-yard touchdown. What do you make of the current Eagles situation as
Dude,
an Eagles fan?
this is the same thing that I've been saying all season. It's the offensive coordinator. Like every good play that we've had for this year has been because the players, like Devonta Smith in this time, and then also Jalen Hurts, are audibling, calling their own plays and saying, hey, this is what works. Like, let's go with this and we'll actually win the game. Because that game was in the balance. Like, we didn't know what was going to happen. Obviously, the Carson Wentz pick six and the other pick was very helpful. But, you know, Jalen Hurts had to have all of 300 of those passing yards to be able to win that game. And mind you, it is nice having these receivers. It's nice having A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, but it takes a good quarterback to be able to get them the ball. You know, this is the first perfect passer rating of the season in the NFL. So please keep Jalen Hurts out of your mouth if you're not an Eagles fan, because I don't want to hear the crap that you guys are talking about him because, dude, I'm happy with him. So why are you guys worried? Let's see in the playoffs and then we'll be done with this story. Jalen Hurts, man, you're my QB1.
For sure. And then, I mean, the Eagles are on bye this week. They come back next week to play. Who are they playing? The
The Giants.
Giants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got
Um,
got the
go ahead.
Giants versus the Eagles round two, so we'll see after the bye what happens from that.
Wait, is it? I don't think the Eagles are on bye. Never mind. I take that back. The Eagles are playing the Giants this week.
Yeah, no, I thought I was tripping because I was like, I thought they had a late bye.
No, I read this wrong. The Eagles are playing the Giants and going against Jackson Dart in that rematch of the Thursday night game we saw. Now, this Thursday we got another good matchup. Minnesota against the Chargers. Justin Herbert's gonna go up against Kevin O'Connell and his squad, the Brian Flores defense in Minnesota. What do you make of this game? I mean, to me, the situation in Minnesota has to be what a debacle of the QB position. I mean, seriously, they could have had Sam Darnold. He was in their building. They could have had Daniel Jones. He was in that building. Aaron Rodgers didn't sign with Pittsburgh for 3 months, hoping to get a call from Kevin O'Connell and Minnesota because he wanted to go to the Vikings. And those three guys are in MVP conversations. And you're now stuck with Carson Wentz. When JJ McCarthy comes back, do you even want to go to JJ McCarthy? The Vikings have messed this up so bad, man. I can't believe it. They played around with the most important position in football and bet on themselves that they can develop JJ McCarthy the same way they were able to develop Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones. And it just hasn't worked out.
Yeah, it hasn't worked out, but you kind of can't have it both ways. They could have had Daniel Jones. That would have been the only way that you can have it both ways. But Sam Darnold was not going to sign with them if it wasn't a long-term contract. So if you were going to trust JJ McCarthy, you kind of had to give him the keys this year. And then obviously he had that amazing comeback against Chicago, but then since then got injured, and now we got Carson Wentz. So Carson Wentz is not the answer. He's going to win you a couple games, and he's going to lose you probably a majority of the game. So as you said, it's a very big debacle in Minnesota how they did their quarterback position. We'll see if Kevin O'Connell can turn it around for them. But as long as the Chargers don't wear Savannah Bananas uniform, I got the Chargers coming back and winning this game because like they've lost some very close games and they're better than a 500 football team. So the Chargers, I think you're
What the
gonna
hell's
get it.
these Savannah Bananas, by the way? I've seen TikToks about them. Are they just the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball? Is that what it is?
Yeah, they're basically the Harlem Globetrotters. They just play these like bot teams and then go around to different
They go to
ballparks.
like Yankee Stadium and get
Yeah,
it sold out.
they sold out the Panther Stadium, and I actually saw them when they were at the Durham Bulls, and they're pretty entertaining.
Are they a historically famous thing or something new?
No, they just came out like 2, 3 years ago, I think.
How are they so popular already?
The marketing, man, they do like they got a guy on stilts. They got all sorts of like races that happen during the game. Like, it's a fun time. Like you gotta go and check it out. But on the football field, we don't want to see those mustard yellow banana looking uniforms. Like they
Those
play just
color rush uniforms for the Jaguars from a while back. You remember those?
yeah, those
Quite
were
literally look like the color of shit on the uniform. Quite like all throughout draped on the uniforms. What those color rush uniforms used to look like.
yeah, those were bad. I think those were worse than these current Chargers jerseys, but yeah, the Chargers played just as goofy as they looked against Indianapolis. So I think they're going to turn it around. You know, Minnesota's defense is probably going to have a step up from last week, but the Chargers have too many weapons. I know they're struggling at running back, but they'll get it done and beat Minnesota. What are your thoughts?
I mean, for me, I like I was talking about, I still can't believe the direction that Minnesota went with the quarterback position. I mean, the Lions were in their division last year. Otherwise, the Minnesota Vikings throughout the regular season they were almost unbeatable, man. They went 14-3. They going into the last week of the year season, they could have been the 1 seed if they beat Detroit in that last week, right? Sam Darnold was cooking, almost won MVP. Like I think there was a point in time where Sam Darnold was the favorite to win MVP. And for the organization to say, nah, it's not because of Sam, it's because of us. I think that's a ridiculous move for a team of that caliber to make, in my opinion. San Francisco made a similar move a few years ago when they had Trey Lance in their building. They invested a lot of draft capital in him, and they let go of Jimmy Garoppolo. Thankfully, they had Brock Purdy in that same draft class, so it worked out for them. But in Minnesota, I think teams need to learn from this situation and not take at least that quarterback position for granted. The quarterback's the hardest position to play in all the sports. When you have your guy there that can win you games, that can provide an offensive output, believe in that guy, trust that guy. I mean, I just can't believe it. I cannot believe that Minnesota is in this position and they had two guys on that team, Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold, and they decided to go with, nah, it's not because of them, it's because of us, and now they're paying the price. I like the Chargers to win in this game. They have Justin Herbert, they have Jim Harbaugh. They're going to be just fine in this game. They're going to beat Carson Wentz.
Agreed. But I mean, like we said earlier, the Vikings just gotta kind of wait it out with McCarthy. You know, if it doesn't work out,
Is
then
McCarthy even the guy? But like the Vikings did not need to be in a position where they are testing whether McCarthy is the guy. They had a guy that proved that they can win games, Sam Darnold, and they said, nah, we're gonna go with McCarthy. And now they're back in a phase that NFL teams don't want to be in. They don't want to, especially a team like the Vikings. They have all the pieces. They have a great defense. They have, Justin Jefferson on their team. Jordan Addison looks good. TJ Hawkinson is a solid tight end. They have the offensive line is good. They have a solid team to go and compete for a Super Bowl. And now they're in a position that a lot of NFL teams are, which is, do we have the right guy? The Giants are in that same position. Is Jackson Dart the guy? Broncos are in that same position. Is Bo Nix our guy? There's so many teams that are in that position. Like I mean, Jacksonville,
the
they
Falcons as
paid
well.
Trevor, but
But at least
yeah,
they have Kirk Cousins back there if they need to. You know,
Panthers, is Bryce Young the guy? They're in the group of teams that they brought themselves down to a tier of teams that they didn't need to. They were in the tier of the Lions, the 49ers. Like they were in that tier of teams last year, and now they've brought themselves down to a whole new tier of teams, which are good teams, but do they have their guy at quarterback?
Yep. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens with them.
Well, great podcast today, Atlas. Hoops is back today. Um, Football starting on Thursday.
Before we end, I did want to make our NBA MVP picks before the season starts because this is our last chance. So I'll let you
Yeah.
do the honors first.
I mean, for me, I like Jokic. I know there's some voter fatigue out there. That's why SGA won it. I think last year Jokic should have won it. I think the year Embiid won, Jokic should have won it. I think Jokic should have won every MVP since the first one he won. Jokic is just that good of a basketball player. His impact cannot be understated on the basketball court. I think if you flip SGA and Jokic and their situations, OKC becomes a better team. Nuggets become a worser team. You can flip Jokic with any player in the NBA, and the team that gets Jokic will be the better. The team that gets Jokic, their production will rise. I mean, people need to understand that Nikola Jokic is a 7-foot center who has Chris Paul level of like court vision. You know what I mean? It's crazy what goes on. This guy, I mean, quite it's not off the board that Nikola Jokic at the end of this year will lead the league in points, assists, and rebounds. That is not off the board. And that is crazy that a 7-footer guy is able to do that. And on top of that is winning games for his team. Almost beat the Thunder last year in a playoff series. Is an NBA champion when he was the best player on the championship winning team. I like Jokic to win the MVP this year.
I like your picks, and I think Cam Johnson's really going to help him out as opposed to Michael Porter Jr. out there at wing. And I like the construction of this
Best move of
year's.
the offseason, by the way. Getting rid of
Yeah, and they
MPJ
got
and replacing him
Bruce
with Cameron
Brown back.
Johnson. UNC legend, by the way, but yes.
Yeah, but honestly, I was gonna say one person, but I came up with a new pick right here on the spot. I was gonna go with Wemby, and I'll say that I think he'll have an amazing season, but I think he'll
Who is it,
miss.
Atlas? Who's the MVP?
The MVP is Giannis.
Giannis.
The MVP is Giannis because they don't have Dame. They got Kyle Kuzma out there and Miles Turner. Like
I
who
mean,
else?
are they going to win enough games for Giannis to be the MVP? That's the question.
Yeah, that may be the question, but if they win 50 games, it'll all be on Giannis. And
Well, for sure. Okay.
Giannis is going to have more rebounds, more assists this year, and Miles Turner is only going to help their team. And he doesn't even stay in the middle, so that just helps out Giannis, and that's my pick.
For sure. If the Milwaukee Bucks win 50 games like you're predicting, 100% book it. Giannis Antetokounmpo is definitely winning the MVP, but I just don't think the Bucks have talent to win 50 games. They don't have the personnel, right? I mean, who do they even have? Like the 3 Antetokounmpo brothers? You think the 3 brothers are gonna carry them to 50 wins? I know
And
Giannis is good.
that's what I'm saying. There's so much weight on his shoulders that I could see him winning it. That's my pick
You
because
think
he is
Thanasis is
so
gonna
good.
pull up? I mean,
Thanasis,
UNC legend Cole Anthony's on that roster now. He might be doing things. Ken Porter, Gary Trent, Miles
Gary
Turner is
Trent.
on the Bucks now, so they are a sleeper for sure. But I just don't know if they can win enough games to compete for Giannis to compete for an MVP with Jokic, SGA, maybe Brunson. We'll insert his name in there. Well, you don't like the Brunson pick?
I don't think Brunson is ever gonna win the MVP. Like I love him, but
He
he's too
deserves it.
short and does not play defense. Like he doesn't play
That's
any
true.
defense.
He is a defensive liability. That was a big problem in that Pacers series last year that people didn't realize is amongst Knicks Twitter and amongst Knicks fans there was a discussion like, what the hell? Why are the Knicks playing better with Brunson off the field when they bring in Deuce McBride? Like you said, it's just Brunson's a defensive liability. Now he's such an offensive savant, right? That it makes up for his defensive shortcomings, but Brunson's too small on the court to do anything defensively, I guess, especially against the top tier talents like last year when he was playing against Tyrese Halliburton in the playoffs.
Yeah, but I think it's gonna be a great NBA season, and those are our picks for who's gonna win MVP. Thank you guys again for watching
For
this
sure.
week.
Also, I just want to say one more thing. This upcoming week is the greatest week of sports that we have in the year. We have the NBA season starting. We have the NFL season. Now, this week is great. One of the best games of the year with Aaron Rodgers going up against the Packers. And we got the MLB World Series. Hockey season started. This is the best week in all of sports. Let's all go out there and enjoy it.
Let's do it.